Help Action Needed, a D&D podcast. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Help Action Needed, a D&D podcast. My name is Sean Hardy, and I will be our GM for today, and I would like to allow the players to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Kate Pizarchik-Johnson, and I play Nori.
I'm Dan Johnson, and I play Cass.
I'm Julie Perez, and I play Frog.
And our party find themselves, well, one of them removed, currently inside of a shrine on his way out, but the others on a beach with their companions Seth and Alto, a pair of brothers cursed with immortality by an archfey Gemini, as well as their friend Dolly O'Toole, who is a little bit more than a friend to one for General Battlebrook, and Midge, who is around doing her midgiest best, but she doesn't always do great. They just got through a battle in which some Sahuagin spirits were sent by an evil Madrid genie to kind of try and stop Cass from getting to a shrine. But they succeeded. Good job them. And we're coming back now as they watch, presumably, Cass walk out of what looks like a solid stone structure through a ripple of water. Players, I turn the scene once again to you.
So, after... how long would this whole experience end up taking, roughly?
Probably about 15 minutes.
Okay, so following that, 15-minute period of nothing on the outside, Cass will come out fine, almost as identically as when he went in, but on close observation, the party, if paying attention, will notice that there's 2 silver bangles around his wrists, as well as 1 plain silver loop earring in his left ear. So as he comes out, he sort of reappears through this wall of water and makes his way out. And as he does, the flames sort of diminish back down, and it's just the flame continuing in the sconce itself. And Cass will come out and try to play off the whole experience relatively low-key, being like, okay, well, what's next? And sort of look to the group to see what's going on.
Frog will very sassily be like, what's next? You aren't gonna tell us what just happened?
Yeah, you just walked into a cursed-ass shrine and came out 15 minutes later like nothing happened, and at least as far as I know, the last time we all went somewhere cursed with a watery ripple was a ghost ship. So we're gonna need to talk about that one, Cass.
And Nori will go up to Cass, pat him on the back, and say, "You walked yourself right into this one, buddy. I didn't do anything this time."
And I think
Alright.
Alto's gonna step up and go, "Did you say a ghost ship? Not the time. Cass, tell us what happened, please."
Okay, so hearing this, Cass will just go sort of back to the shrine and sit on the steps, and just sort of like a teacher at show and tell will have everyone just sort of sit around for story time to a certain extent, and we'll start with the very limited knowledge he has of the situation. So Cass explains how he got the lantern and sort of the basic knowledge he has, and then just sort of looks to Nori and everyone else that's sort of wanting to learn and be like, what exactly do you guys want to know? Because there's a lot of information here, and I apologize for not filling you in earlier, but I'll be honest, I was not 100% sure of what was going on. So maybe it's easier if you guys ask specifically what you want to know to start.
Nori will then look at Cass and ask, "How did you come upon said lantern and your journey to whatever this motioning towards the shrine is?"
Well, I did explain this, I believe, in the past briefly, but in my time before working at the bar with some of my, and Castle paused for a hot second before saying coworkers, in one of our jobs, we ran into an abandoned building, and I did see this lantern there, and there was something that instinctively called to me about it, which is why I picked it up, and I took it as my portion of the payment for this job that we were doing. At that point in time, I had no inclinations that this was more than a lantern. But as you can tell, and as he does this, like, he'll just pop like some eldritch energy out of his hands, be like, there was definitely something about it that changed once I got familiar with the item.
Do we notice the difference in Cass's appearance? He comes out.
I mean, it sounds like it's pretty slight, but if you're like actively looking, I think that's how Cass described it.
Nori would then ask Cass, so what is up with your little change of appearance? You got some new little rings, right? Earrings?
Cass, partly oblivious to this, because he did not know this happened, is just sort of looking at you questioningly.
Oh. Then Nori will just say, oh, I guess we can figure that out later.
No. What? What are you referring to exactly?
Nori's gonna take out a little mirror, hold it up to Cass, so that way he can see the difference is.
Cass will just sort of like reach up to his ear, feel like the little silver like ring earring type thing, and like as he's doing that, he'll see his sleeve slide down and like the bangles will be there, and he'll be like, okay, I mean, that's fine. I guess it's not the worst thing in the world, and be like, and look back to Nori and be like, this is new to me as well. But aside from that, and like gaze will shift over to Frog, is there anything else you guys are concerned about or have questions regarding this? Like, I'll answer anything to the best of my ability.
Insight check.
You can willingly fail it if you want, Cass.
Yeah, I'm gonna willingly fail it because I'm not lying.
Okay. Meaning, like, you would tell us basically anything?
Related to this, yes.
Frog would ask, like, what exactly happened while you were in the shrine?
So, Cass will do his best to explain what the shrine is, and also relate it to his ability to withdraw within his lantern at certain points throughout the day, and be like, this is sort of a different little reality pocket for myself specifically. From being in there and from my first connection with my patron is a genie-esque deity, but his appearance is sort of split. So like half of it is like a dark navy blue, almost reminiscent of like the night sky when it's stormy and turbulent. The other is a very calm, lighter blue, which is, I think, what you guys are currently seeing around us, what the shrine was burning. And my actions to date have very much aligned with the lighter side, but it seems like activating this sort of helped that side. And then, as you guys know, the Sunken Grove, I believe, is always encapsulated in a perpetual storm. It's just really not great conditions, and at some point in time we have to make a decision, but not trying to exclude you as the group. This will be something that I truly have to make a decision on, because it's going to impact me. Your opinions will matter, but it's something that we'll have to figure out as we proceed here. But at this time, I don't think it's anything urgent. The other thing specifically that I think we need to sit down and truly talk about, and this is where my gaze will shift to Seth and Alto specifically, is that from my communion with Baal Batu, and I'm assuming as I say this, everyone's going to be like, what? And Cass will clarify, that's the deity's name. We can go over that later. But from my discussions with him, it sounds like for either of these deities to be brought back, the issue we are having is that Gemini will need to be dealt with in one way or another. And I don't know what impact that will have you two. Because from our short time together, I don't want to see anything negative happen to you. So if that's the outcome, then we'll have to find a different route. But that is definitely something I think we need to put on our list of things to figure out going forward.
Well, that is certainly a solution that would be good to avoid. But if it's what it comes to, we've been around for a while.
And I get that, but at the same time,
I didn't mean it as an excuse. And they're gonna just kind of take a step back.
but you're more important, and I look to the group, to us, than trying to fix one of the many problems this world is facing at this point. So while you have been here for a while, you've only been part of our lives for a very short period. So we would like you to stay. But again, we can cross that bridge once we get there.
You would see that Seth, not trying to hide it, but actively tears up. Partially because he's also aware that he's the one anchoring them both here. But yeah, if nobody else, Dahlia would take a moment to pause and see if anyone has anything else they want to say, and not seeing any would go, well, it sounds like a lot has been brought to light, and quite literally, you set a shrine on fire. But it kind of sounds like now there's a drive, but seems to be a lack of direction. Do you know any way to contact this entity that's causing problems, or do you know anyone that might know them?
When you say this entity, are you talking about mine or...
No, the one that's preventing yours. Gemini, as you said.
Gotcha. And with that, Cass is just going to sort of shrug his shoulders and look to Nori, because I feel like you've had more insight into it than we have.
Thinking about my conversation with my deity, I would say I maybe could contact her and see what we could do, but that be something I try later today.
Sure. We can... I mean, I don't know how well the run downtown over there is for ritual casting of that kind, and I also don't know how long you want to stay. I thought today was going to be a nice beach day with my girlfriend, and then you all said, we need to flee town, let's go kill some shark people, oh look, the gods are fighting. So my plans for the day, it's safe to say, are not being realized.
Hold up. Oh, what? Wait. Oh. Now, I'm not saying that I ruined all of today, but...
I didn't say the word ruin, I said my plans are not realized.
And Cass will sort of stop mid-sentence, just look at it really quick, and be like, okay, anyway, I'm not saying that I am the sole cause for today to be inconvenienced, and he will do air quotes as he says this. But I would like all of us to get back to town so you two can relax for the rest of the day. I have a lot of stuff that I need to figure out, and Nori, you need to commune with your deity, I believe you called her. What was her name again?
Nori's just gonna look at Cass and say, fuck off. Then we'll just go hop into the boat.
Upon hearing Dolly use the word girlfriend, you're gonna see a clear shift in her demeanor, and her face is gonna light up with big wide eyes, and you can tell that on the inside she's like, oh, she said girlfriend, now knowing that they are official, because before she wasn't sure what word to use.
I'm gonna check if Dolly notices that. Are you trying to hide it or no?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. then Dolly got a nat 1. Dolly does not clock that.
That's
I was gonna
fun.
say Dolly's got to beat at 10. Dolly has a decent perception, but not an 8. Yeah. Look at you, having a realization. Yeah, the brothers are going to get in, and they're like, well, Midge, maybe you and we can spend a day together. It seems like everyone is paired off or going to do something private, and you seem to know quite a bit about the land and how to be on the sands, and we would love to get to know you a bit more if you don't mind. And Midge will respond, I would very much like to get to know your story as well. It's not often that I get to meet people that are interested in mine, because normally it's people that I'm stuck with, and then they say, Midge, stop telling us things, because they don't really care. And I'm not good, but I would love to be a beach guide, or I'd love to maybe teach you some more games. I would have a great time with that. And you all get back to town, and Midge goes off with the brothers, and Frog and Dolly go off. Frog, where do you send Archimedes?
Frog would probably hand off Archimedes to Cass, whether he wants him or not. But she'll just kind of like drop him on his shoulder as she's getting off the boat.
Yeah, so you and Dolly head off in one direction. Cass, you are handed Archimedes. Where are you headed?
Cass will go, once they're back in town, just sort of make sure that Dolly and Frog like depart, go relax wherever they're gonna go. Just sort of give a quick nod to Nori, just verifying that she has everything she needs, and then Cass will take Archimedes like in his like arms and summon Quizzle on his shoulder, and just go to like the highest secluded point that he can get to, like not trying to avoid people, but just trying to have a nice quiet area to work in. And as he does this, he will try to use elemental gift flight. So with that, his legs disappear, and for 10 minutes he's just like flying at a speed about like 30 feet through the air, just holding together a frog, like holding a frog in his front arms with a squirrel on his back, looking like the most unkempt person probably on this island.
Yeah, and because like the highest point is like on the other side of town, and like the back of the crescent where like it rounds is where like the sand is mostly piled up, so that'd be the highest point. So yeah, you just take off flying over the town, carrying a frog with Quizzle. Archimedes going, It's only been a few weeks since I've been awakened, and I have been an actor, I have been a hero, I have been a king, I am now able to fly, I have drank the spiciest of water. Who knew there was a whole world out there for frogs like me? And you take Archimedes off to your next location to have a moment of just not elemental, but just quiet reflection away from people, to kind of sit with things and probably ponder on not a choice that has been made in any timeline or any immediacy, but a lot of thoughts were presented to you, and you might have thoughts about them. Nori. Yep, go ahead.
The only thing I was going to say is the whole time I'm gone, I was just contemplating. I'm also going to take that black pearl and in the little clasp on my cloak, sort of fashion it to hold both. So not exactly a yin and yang type thing, but like they're going to be next to each other, just secured in the same fashion, just so it's not rolling around in his lantern. And then, he will try to reflect, knowing full well that Archimedes is going to talk for the full time that he is up on this cliff edge, wherever he's going to be.
Yeah. Nice. And then, Nori, where do you try and go?
I will just find a secluded space, so that way I can set up my little rug that I have, and I'll take off my silver pine cone from my belt and put it in front of me and try and talk to Titania.
Yeah, for you it's not hard to talk with Titania. You can just meditate into it. Um, make just a religion check to see like how quickly she responds to you.
Okay, I will make a religion check. Oh gosh. That's okay. 12.
Well, okay. It takes longer than you would hope for her to get back to you. But after about half an hour, you like see your pine cone start glowing, and you know that like she is not physically in the space, but like is spiritually aware of you and has like formed a connection between the two of you that you'd be able to commune with.
Okay. I would ask her
Mhm.
if she has any knowledge of Gemini of what Gemini is doing, rather, within the Fae realm.
You'd hear back. Dear child, there is nothing that Gemini is doing within the Fey realm.
Okay. Isn't that what what Cass was gathering, though, from his patron?
Cass was just told that she's trying to form and come back.
Okay. I would ask Titania again, do you know of any means that we could stop Gemini from coming back?
I mean, to stop an archfey from coming back is to stop the world from turning. We are immortal after all, and even if we are reset, it will only be a matter of time until we return once more.
Okay. Yep. Totally fair. Is Gemini's fate tied with Seth and Alto's fate? If something happens to Gemini, does that mean that Seth and Alto come to an end?
I'm gonna make Titania roll on this for like Arcana. She has a plus 15, but she'd have to get a 30. And she did not. For my sister, she is far older and grander. I could not say what contracts and agreements and curses she has inflicted upon the youth who travel with you. I would imagine that they are tied in some way, but whether it be that the one who is tethered leaves, if they both leave, or if they both are returned to the moment before the bargain was struck, I could not say.
Is there anything else that I would have felt like, i.e. from the group, that I should ask prior to ending my commune with Titania?
Probably the only thing is you've seen, in terms of Gemini stuff, you've seen the church getting a little Gemini-y. I don't know if that'd be something Nori would want to ask about, but that would be the only other thing I think you would have thought of.
Okay. Yeah, I guess how I get. When we were at the announcement for the Church of Everlasting Peace, when we saw an elven person, cast some spell across the crowd, bless, we were able to see that it gave off a pink hue, which is similar to the hue that Steph and Alto have, so we are only assuming that it's connected with Gemini. Would you know of what that pink hue means, signifies, or someone within this realm that we could talk to about Gemini?
Well, the fastest way for one to return is to gain belief once more. It's possible that she has infected herself in your church, for peace cannot be everlasting by humans. They are far too fickle and fragile. But perhaps she has found a way to corrupt them into letting them be her vessel.
So Nori would then gather the larger the following, the easier or more or quicker a deity / patron may come back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think that's all Nori would ask, and she would then say to Tanya, "Thank you for taking this time to chat with me. I greatly appreciate your answers. Is there anything you would like me to do moving forward?"
Well, if you are to find my sister, her coming back would certainly cause problems for me remaining queen. So it'd be appreciated if that was dispelled, but you yourself are but one, and you are a small child. If you find a way to prevent it, as I said, you cannot stop it, but perhaps you can delay her coming back. And I can spend a few millennia thinking of how to lock her somewhere farther away.
That sounds great. I'll keep you updated. Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
You are welcome. Time is as infinite as my problems. And then just fades.
And with that, Nora will pack up her stuff and then reconvene with everyone. We decided it would be appropriate.
Yeah. And while that was happening, Frog, what's happening on the beach?
Frog, still very giddy from hearing the word girlfriend, will probably be, happily moving along, also grabbing Dolly's hand. I'm assuming they're going on a little walk right now. And we'll kind of start talking to Dolly about, where they're going next, and also if she, would like, I'll ask, if she would like to come, or I would say, or are you going elsewhere, and kind of, see where she'll be at when we're wrapping up this adventure.
I suppose that depends on the amount of time it takes you to do your adventure. I do need to go back, as there have been changes made to Bosun's bounty in the time since we have disposed and revealed the plan of the old pirate's lord, and so I do need to maintain peace there for a bit until we kind of figure out what we're doing next. But if you're not planning to leave the mainland, I could stay with you for a bit, or if you need to go somewhere else, I could always, as long as it's accessible by sea, drop you off.
Okay. Frog's happy with that answer, so she'll just leave it there and be like, okay, we'll see what our plan is. And then she'll ask Dolly if she wants to... Well, are we still on we're back at the town, right?
You're, on the crescent that the town is on. So, where you landed would have been to, the, southeast... No, the southwest of it. So you could be heading back towards town, or you could be going to, the tip, which is where, the most private area would be.
Okay. I think they'd still be walking, probably towards the not town area. And then maybe go swimming together. Not swimming, but go play in the beach, whatever.
Very nice.
Okay.
And then after a while, you return, walking back to town, with when everyone will be meeting up. Dolly also would say at one point, if you're not happy trying to travel and solve problems with people you know but find new things about every day, you can live on the ship. You don't have to go.
Okay, Frog, after hearing that, is going to be like, really? You wouldn't
Yeah.
mind?
I mean, probably not. I've never had a partner live on the ship for extended periods of time before. Typically, we all kind of like do our own thing and have a good time and then meet back up. But like, I'd be willing to give it a try if you wanted to.
Yeah, Frog is gonna respond. He's gonna say, I would really, really like that, but I think right now I need to finish this journey with Cass and Nori. But I think after we wrap this up, I would love to do that.
Nice. And then that's the conversation you have as all three of you return to town. You're there. You do get a sum of money from the district. Like, the tavern keeper did organize some sort of agreement with the mayor, and you each get like 100 gold, which like is not a lot. I mean, it's a very much a lot, but like what for not a lot of what you'd all be expecting, but it's what this town can muster. And then yeah, they're like, well, you're welcome to stay here, but our inn is over there, our tavern's over there, and you kind of solved the problem that we requested adventurers for. So you're welcome to stay, but we know we're not a live-in town for people most of the time. If you need any maps or guidance or anything to go where you can, we're often we're happy to provide it, but not sure what all you need.
I guess maybe should we... Oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was just saying maybe we should get back on Dolly's ship and head back to...
Laura?
Yeah, Alara.
And at this point, as this conversation's happening, like, you see, like, Cass flying back into town, and it's still not smooth, like, it's still very shaky, and you just see him, not, like, super hard, but, like, crash land into the beach. So he's just, like, face down in the sand, and Archimedes is just on his head. And as he sees you, he just starts hopping back over to you, Frog. You know, his comfort human, not his secondary human.
Uh-huh.
I learned to fly today. Did you know frogs can fly?
I did not know that frogs can fly. Did you do that on your own?
I held on by my own.
Oh, very good job.
I feel like if I fell, though, I could make it happen.
Yeah, I think so.
And as that conversation's happening, Cass is getting up, just dusting himself off really quick, and looks to Nori and just everyone in general and be like, just FYI, I can fly. Sort of. Not really good, but something to keep in mind. And with that, just sort of makes his way back to the ship, just sort of knowing that we're getting going here.
Nori's gonna catch up with Cass and pat him on his lower back, I guess, since that's what I can reach, and say, if you need any tips, buddy, just let me know. I'm kind of an expert. And then we'll just skip on to the ship.
Nice. And it's
Actually, no, I take that back. Nori will fly onto the ship and attempt to be so graceful and show Cass her mastery of flying.
Make me a performance check.
Okay, alright, I got +2. I'm gonna guide myself, and
Okay.
I don't care if Cass sees it. Ooh, okay, 19 +2 +1 is 22.
Yeah, Cass, how upsetting is it?
Cass just sort of looks at it, shakes his head, and as still within earshot, but like getting on the verge of not hearing, Cass will say just loud enough, it's like, yeah, it's like you have wings or something. Crazy. As he's walking to the ship.
Yes, as Nori beautifully glides on, as Frog follows Dolly, the brothers seem reluctant to return, but Midge has told them a bit about like how to like keep yourself balanced and everything. And you all return to the ship. And you are able to sail quickly and easily back to Alara and arrive. The town seems no different than when you left like 12 hours ago. But you all have changed quite a bit as people in the 12 hours. What do you all wanted to do?
Nori would bring up to the group that maybe we should try and rest, but then kind of skedaddle our butts out of here. Unless there was something else we really wanted to do in Alara specifically.
I think we should probably make our way out of town post haste. Cass just sort of remembering that he left his letter that he's leaving. So if they know he's back, it's not going to be an extremely warm reception. So that being said, Cass would just sort of, as we dock, like, thank Dolly, and then look to Frog and be like, we probably need to get going relatively soon, and just give her a nod before getting off the boat.
Okay. Frog, after hearing Nori say, as long as there's nothing else we wanted to do, we'll give a little sigh and look at Dolly. And be like, there was one more thing I wanted to do. And then we'll say goodbye to Dolly, and let her know she'll keep in touch as they head off the boat.
Hopefully you keep in touch better than the past, because it took me calling Julian out to call you out for you to send me letters. So, just saying.
I will try better. There was just a lot going on at that time. With my whole dead mom ghost, maybe.
Yeah, I still don't think we ever fully finished that conversation. So, we gotta do that at some point.
And as she says this, Cass from the dock will be like, Frog, we really need to get going at this point.
Yeah, so Frog was like, I'll write it in another letter.
Okay. The brothers will follow you all off. Midge stays on board, and Archimedes is resting, like, on the front, and calls down to Frog and goes, I know we are bound for a few more weeks. Can I be a pirate?
Archimedes.
It's okay to say no, but I would like to be a pirate.
Oh no, okay. Frog is very sad about this. Archimedes, if you would like to be a pirate, you may, but just know we will be coming back to the ship at some point. So if you wanted to come for more adventures, you can, but if you want to be a pirate, we understand. We will just miss you.
And at this point, he is charmed by you for a longer duration. It's up to Frog what he does.
No. He can't even give his opinion. After me saying that, he still wants to be a pirate.
I mean, like, in the same way he wants to be an actor and he wants to fly and, like, he just wants to experience the world.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Frog is going to convince him that he can still experience the world with where they're going, because we're going to all new places and you will get to see so many things, and then when we come back we can be pirates again.
Okay, I will do that. I will have adventure on land and then adventure on sea. I will be the most traveled frog in the world.
You might actually be.
So then Archimedes will jump off the, like, bow of the ship and land right on your shoulder. And you all are free to send Dolly off into the night as you head somewhere.
Okay, so as we're all getting off the ship, Cass is just sort of like leading the group through town, like heading to that main gate we came in. And right about as we get to the middle of town, Cass just turns to the group and be like, wait a minute, hold on. And it's been like 15 minutes at this point of just walking through town. Cass just like turns to Nori and Frog at this point and is like, what the fuck are we doing? Wait a minute. No, guys, I thought we were going either to like my hometown or like back to like the capital city. Like, we are going to be walking forever to get back there. There is a boat with someone who probably wants to do certain things with someone in our group. We won't name names here, and I'm gonna look at Frog as I'm saying this. But anyway, maybe we should just go back and see if she'd be open to taking us to the other side of the continent where she's most likely going anyway. And then Archimedes, you can live out a few days of being your best pirate self. And Cass is going to force the best fake smile he can muster after spending at least 5 hours with him alone on a cliff.
Yep.
Nori would respond, well, Cass, I was just following you. You make such a big deal when I try and lead. So, really, it's your fault. So I think we should turn back. And Nori will just start marching back to... Not marching, sorry. Very gracefully and I don't remember what the word should be. Non-exuberantly walking back towards the boat, so that way no one pays attention to Nori.
Nice. As she's doing this, Cass is just gonna mutter to himself, yes, let's let the guy who's having a literal patron crisis that could end the world lead us through town. That's a great idea.
And as you're doing that, Altos talks up and says, not that we don't enjoy this whole thing, because you all are wonderful, but we don't really have a need to go back on the boat. If your plan is to head back to the capital after, I think it'd be better for us to meet up there and take some time for my brother and I to figure some things out. And also, if it does become a decision about whether or not removing us helps a lot more people, it might be good to have some distance from us. And Seth would say into Frog, I'm gonna miss having someone to talk to, but my brother and I talked on the boat, and we were gonna try and figure out what's next, and it seems like your next path is a lot different than ours. So I think I'm gonna talk with you later, because I know I'll be able to. But for a while, it's just gonna be us again.
Very clearly sad, visibly sad, will respond back to him and be like, I know it will be hard to go back, but I know that we'll see you again, and I'm really happy that we were able to talk to each other to begin with.
Yeah. And if I'm the one person that has to die to keep everyone else okay, don't let them do that. And then is going to cut off his communication channel with you.
Oh no. Okay. That's sad.
And not hearing any of this, just sort of, Cass understands they're not boat, they're not water people, understands. Just goes up and shakes both of their hands and be like, travel safe, and pretty much tells them that it will be a little bit before we get to the capital, even with the ship, so don't rush to the capital. And he'll explain to Alto, that's the older brother, right? Yeah,
Yep.
We'll explain to Alto that we will send word to the capital so they know you are coming well in advance. So don't rush. If you guys want to spend some time at your home, there's no rush to get there. And again, just thank them for everything they've done really up to this point. And again, just remind them to travel safe.
Yeah, of course, we will. We know that we don't need time to be moving quick, and if nothing else, we've seen that your companions are able to communicate at long distances with people through their minds. So even if you just let us know on the way that you're on the way, we can head up and meet you around the same day, as long as neither party is held up in some manner. I think that'll be best, and it'll allow you all some time to talk about some things, and allow us some time to go back to training up what we're good at, and also just hang out. And the flowers haven't been tended to in a while. Someone needs to keep the flowers okay. And then they'll shake your hand right back, engage with Nori and Frog however they would like to be engaged with, and then make their way the opposite direction towards the gate Cass was leading you all in to begin with.
Cass, independent of Nori and Frog, would probably stay in the middle of town, just keeping an eye on the brothers until they get to the gate. I'm assuming that like we can see the gate from where we are. We're pretty much in the middle.
Yeah, you were heading down like the main strip.
Yeah, I'm just Cass will just wait and make sure that they get out of the gate okay before turning back and heading back to port.
Yep.
And once they get out,
5 minutes. So it'll have been like 20 minutes now, and then you have to walk 15 back. So by the time you get back, it'll have been about 40 minutes since you all said a heartfelt goodbye to Dolly.
And as we're approaching, knowing that this is already going to be awkward enough, Cass just puts his hand on Frog's shoulder and just like sort of pushes her to the front of the group. Like, you can handle this conversation. And Nori and I just sort of solemnly walk behind her, knowing that, man, we look really dumb right now.
Yeah. Assuming that Dolly doesn't see us right away, because she's probably busy doing Dolly things, Frog is going to board the boat and like sing-songy way. It's going to be like, we're back!
Yeah, Mid's the first one to see you, because her job is like, watch as things happen. Oh, did you leave things you need, or are you... Oh, you're down your two companions. Did something happen and we need to go rescue them?
No, we're okay. We just, a certain somebody didn't know what we were doing, so we left and realized we needed to come back because we need to ask Dolly for a favor.
Do you all always lead with no plan?
Yes, usually. But so far it's worked out for us, so...
I'm glad to hear, but I would have thought in the months y'all have known each other that some sort of thought would have entered your minds. I can grab her, and like Dolly, not even needing to wait be grabbed, hearing you sing We're Back with like your new bardic power literally carrying a song on the wind. She comes up. I'm glad to see, but we did just say goodbye rather shortly after I had a conversation with you about staying, and then you left, and now you're back. What's up?
Well, we maybe need a favor. If you happen to be going in the direction that we're trying to go, we were wondering if we could catch a ride with you.
I literally told you that 2 hours ago, that if you were headed back towards inland, I'd be happy to take you that way. Where are you trying to get to?
Where are we trying to get to? Exactly.
And at this point, Cass will chime in being like, yeah, I'm sorry, a lot going on. I believe we are trying to get to Ansel or somewhere around there just to handle some business for a short period. And of course, I know from our conversations, we are welcome on your ship, but if you would like compensation for charting us multiple places at this point, charting two of us multiple places at this point, we would understand.
Frog will chime in and be like, I think I can compensate for us fairly.
The entire crew stifles a laugh for a moment, knowing what would happen if they, like, Dolly is still Captain Dolly to everyone but Frog. But Frog is not acknowledging that right now, but the entire crew needs to pretend like they are. And so you just feel like everything stopped as everyone around you audibly tries to stifle a laugh and gets like daggers thrown at everyone like from the eyes at the same time somehow. And Dahlia goes, we can negotiate the terms of that contract when the time is right. But yeah, the strait beyond Bosun's Bounty, past the Grove, isn't too hard to navigate at any time of year, let alone now. So if you need to get to Ansel, it'll be a shame to add 3 more days to the trip, but I'm sure we can make generous use of them. When do you need to head out?
See, whenever you're ready. Because, I mean, Cass is hiding from the people of Alara, but if we're on your ship, no one's gonna know. So whenever you were planning on leaving.
And as she finishes that statement, I'm not, Cass just chimes up in the back, I'm not hiding, per se. I'm just more abandoning partial duties of what I signed up for. So I will be out of sight, out of mind, and I will be out of sight, out of mind. And with that, Cass sort of looks to Dolly and be like, can I go to the crow's nest? Is that fine?
Sure, I don't care. You're welcome to take it. And also, no need to be concerned about hiding from duty and responsibility and escaping. Half the crew here is hiding from duty, responsibility, or escaping. But half the crew here doesn't ask me to bring them to the city that they are escaping, only to literally within an hour come back and say, oh, can we not do that? So, a bit of foresight I do recommend, my friend. But we should be ready to go within the half moon and can be out to sea by night if you have no need to stay.
Yeah, that works for us. And Cass is leaving towards the crow's nest. Frog will plop Archimedes on his shoulder so that he can go live his best life in the crow's nest.
Yeah, so Archimedes and Cass ascend to the crow's nest. Nori probably goes to Midge and finds something to do. Frog, I imagine, goes to the captain's quarters to also find someone to do. And within a matter of, not minutes, but half an hour or so, the ship is sailing out to sea. And you all are on your way towards Ansel, with the knowledge that you are leaving some friends behind. But you'll see them again. And it's about a week-long trip, so it would give a lot of you time. Some of you have just gained new skills. It would give you a lot of time to practice it in a safe environment. It would gain you a lot of time to meet the crew. Like Tegan and everyone still are on the ship, so if you wanted to know them at all, you're welcome to spend time with them. But it's kind of like that thing of, unless you start assimilating into the crew, you're kind of in the way. So you all have a lot of private time while the ship is functioning as a ship, and Dolly and Midge are coming to see you, but most of the people are leaving you to yourself as they go about their literal job. Then, yeah, a week later, you all arrive at the dock in Alara. Not Alara, that's where you left. You arrive at the dock in Ansel, cast to a semi-familiar sight as the town you spent your childhood in remains largely unchanged, but under the lordship of Lady Iodi has made a lot of advancements. Like, her time with the people has shown that it can build up the town, that it can be restored, and that there's a lot of new infrastructure and a lot of new farm things. There's a lot of new people here, and that the town is clearly on the mend, especially compared to what it was after the last lord, who didn't suppress, but it takes a lot of not great things for a literal uprising and secret organization to try and take you out. So you're greeted by, I think, the sight you probably have been hoping to see for a while, which is your hometown restored and built further. What do you do? What's anyone do?
Cass, as we're approaching, would just sort of stay on the front of the boat, just sort of taking in, his hometown as we approach, and just from his past, make note of the changes that are evident from when he was last here. primarily the improvements, and sort of would be skeptical of it, to be honest. Just sort of not trusting of, in quotes, improvements, just based on his previous history where walls were built and then taxes were enforced for entry, like that kind of thing. But keeps an open mind. And as we make Doc, Cass would probably be a little bit more, I don't want to say eager, but like quick to deboard and try to get into town.
Yeah, and as you're getting into town, you'd see a lot of these buildings are made up of what must be the stone that was the walls, because the walls are gone and very similar colored stone builds these buildings. You see that like there are a lot of people you don't recognize, but it's been, what, 3 years since you left? 4? How long's it been?
It's been, well, it hasn't been super long. It's probably been about 2 total, because he spent about 6 months at the bar, so it's only been about 2 full years. But due to his lack of ability and communication not being great at the time, just with the whole country recovering, hasn't had contact with a lot of people for a good period of time.
So just a lot of new faces, new families that have moved here because they've learned recently it's a spot to go to. And yeah, as you like walk off the ship, what are the other two doing? You following instead, or are you taking a bit of time to leave Dolly behind?
Frog would say goodbye to Dolly again with similar, in a similar way she did last time. Nothing too special. And we'll get off the ship and kind of take a look around, leaving a little bit of space between her and Cass to let him process and, being back here. I'm sure must be difficult with the loss of his parents. So, she'll be aware of that as she gets off the ship.
Yeah. It's
Nori would do the same thing, noting Cass's somberness, also being aware of the occasion. She'll hang back by Frog for Frog. She said goodbye to Dolly.
Nice. So Cass, as you walk everyone through town on the way to where your homestead would be, what is new, what's remained, what's gone?
So as he sort of like gets out of the dock/pier area, the basic marketplace, and marketplace is a very generous word because comparatively to the towns we've been in, Ansel is notably small. The marketplace consisting of like the 3 main shops, like the common goods, the foods, and what many people would be like the armor/blacksmith are still there. The basic framework is there, but as he noticed, like with the wall being gone, they've been reinforced with the stone that the wall was made of. So the buildings were maintained. And just quick walks by, like Cass still has semblance of memories of who worked there, like the main people that own the building, and most of them seem familiar still. But aside from that, a lot of the main buildings and town areas have sort of been restructured in a way that's a little bit more formalized, like very similar to the structure of the capital, where it's like it's a very structured layout and everything has its place for a reason. The town has sort of started to grow from the port outward. But as we're walking, Nori and Frog will notice that Cass is like paying attention to these things, but also making his way more to the outskirts of the main portion of town. Like they're going more in an outward direction, so more of like a east-northeast direction in a path that Cass knows very fondly. And as we approach what would have been his childhood home, what's there?
A lot of it is still there. It's just weathered with age. The salt from the sea that's blown in, a lot of the wood has turned a very light gray. Anything of where the crops were is just now untilled, hard earth that could be farmable land once more, but would need a lot of work to do it. The main structure of the house stands exactly the same, except the windows are boarded up and it's just as aged, a couple frames off their hinges, and then all of the animals are gone. None of the horses, none of the chickens, all of that has been disappeared in one way or another.
Understood. And with that, as Cass approaches, are you two following, or are you guys staying in town?
No, we had said that we were following just a little bit further behind you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sort of as we approach, does Cass make note of any gravestones or disturbed earth in the vicinity, either in front of the house, back of the house, around the perimeter?
Not on the perimeter, but you would know, like, further in town is where, like, the town's, like, cemetery is a nice word for it, but where, like, the town is, especially with so many people here having been affected by the war, most of it is memorials and monuments, but for those who did die in town, they have started being buried there as well.
Gotcha. I mean, Cass sort of acknowledging the fact that he'll have to make his way there at some point, just sort of pushes that to the back of his mind for a hot second and goes up to what was his childhood home. And is the door, like, can the door be opened, or is it, like, boarded shut?
It can be opened. It, like, that thing, you'll have to, like, pick it back up to swing it correctly, as, like, the hinges on the top have fallen to the side. It's not boarded and, like, blockaded, because technically nobody, like, you would own it, so nobody can do anything to it without your consent, but you're not around to tell anyone what to do, so it's just kind of been left to itself.
Gotcha. So Cass will just sort of open the door, like, knowing that it's been broken for a while, even before the sort of abandonment happened. Like, was never truly fixed, so he knows how to open it, and goes in and just sort of sits at the table that, in an odd way, Nori and Frog would both be familiar with, just from our little dream vision, and just sits there for a little bit, not really saying much, just taking in everything. And I mean, Cass would probably sit here and relax for at least like an hour and a half, just sort of taking in his childhood home, walking around the area, just taking in the current state of how it is.
And the other two? Are you allowing Cass this space, or what are you doing here?
Yeah, I don't think that I would go in right away. I would probably wait until he has made his rounds throughout the home and then maybe enter, depending on what I see from him.
Yeah, also maybe letting him kind of lead the conversation. So, like, just kind of out with Frog on the outskirts and Cass approach us.
Okay, so, I mean, following, just sort of walking around, Cass would probably, in like an aggressive way, but in a sort of a direct way, just sort of confront both of you and be like, it's fine. Like, I knew this is what I was coming back to. Like, this isn't a surprising thing. Like, I appreciate the sentiment, but I don't need to be coddled. I understand this is part of life, but I do appreciate the space. That being said, I have some business here that I would like to take care of. And he sort of just gestures around the house. I'd like to get this place in an acceptable condition before we leave, and sort of takes a step on one of the floorboards and his foot goes through it, and it's just like, it could take at least like a week and a half type situation. So I will primarily be tied up doing this. That being said, help is always appreciated, but in this instance, I would like to handle most of this by myself. But if there are certain things you would like to assist with, like, please let me know, but don't feel obligated. Like, you guys can take this week to do what you need, or if there's something you guys would like to research, that's absolutely fine. Or if the land isn't your specialty at this point and you want to embrace your sea legs for another night looking at Frog, don't feel the need to stay in this rundown home.
I think especially both Cass and Nori, upon like if the land's not your thing, you would both know that like the druids are not far away. That Kate, if you wanted to go find Kilana again, the only other like fairy you've met with the humans, she's only like a day's walk away.
I would look at Cass and say, I'll stick around for a day or two to help out as much as I can. And then I think I'll go visit our friend Kilana, a little visit.
Yeah, Frog would be happy to help out as much as you would want her to. I know you said you wanted to do most of it on your own, but she can help out and then also can go with Nori if that would be all right. And then go from there.
And hearing this, Cass sort of nods, accepting the help. But as we sort of make our way out of the house, because again, it's not in great shape. Like, Cass acknowledges this. So, like, we can't stay here at night, at least at the current state. But acknowledges the help and puts out there as well that we don't really have a great way of communicating with each other at this point. So that being said, if you're going somewhere, Frog, it sounds like you're already potentially going with her. I would suggest you guys do stay in a group. Cass will just look to the town and be like, I think I'll be able to handle myself here, at least for a short period of time. But with how crazy everything has been everywhere we've went so far, I would probably say we need to at least touch base every few days in person, just because, again, I don't want any of us getting into a rough situation.
Aw, Cass, are you worried about us? Are you starting to like us and care for us? That's so sweet. Of course we can keep in touch.
Any sentiment of emotion Cass was showing at this exact point in time is out the broken windows. Cass is already going down the road to town.
Yeah, because you would still know of your contacts from the Brotherhood who are here, who can house you, who can get you a lot of resources, and some of them, like, they're not good mages, but probably know mending, if nothing else, that could bring a couple people in. And for for Frog and Nori, like, you all, it's the morning when the ship docks. It's only a day to get to the Druids. You all could head out now and be there for a spot to stay.
When does Cass think that he's going to help?
So this conversation's happening as we're walking to town. But as we're going there, Cass just sort of stops, thinks for a hot second, just trying to really plan out how this is gonna work in terms of restoring this place. And realistically, Cass is gonna need a couple days to sort of get his bearings on where he can get materials. So if you guys want to leave for like 2-3 days potentially, like, now would probably be the best time. Tomorrow morning would probably be the best.
Right now, because it's morning.
Oh, is it? Yeah, you're right. Sorry, it is morning.
So Nori would look at Frog and say, well, should we go ahead and hit the road?
Yeah, Frog will say, yeah, I think that's a good idea. So look at us. We're already planning. So much growth in one day.
Archimedes pipes up. Can I go to the forest, or would I be more benefit here helping with construction?
The forest instantly. Cass is like, the forest sounds great. I think all three of you journeying together would probably be the safest option for everyone involved. We don't need any workplace accidents to accidentally crush any small animals by chance. There's going to be big objects being moved.
Nori's gonna look at Cass and be like, "Are you sure? I bet Archimedes has a really fine hammering skill that he could show you. But I won't take up any opportunity to hang with Archimedes."
Like when you say that, Archimedes like finds like a hammer on the ground, like wraps his tongue around it, and like tries to swing it. And instead of going up and down, it's just like going in circles. And he's like, I'm a productive member of the workforce. I can be the next great frog carpenter."
Frog is just-
We'll have to test those skills when you get back.
We'll just very gently reach out and grab his tongue and take the hammer out and then let it go.
And with that, you all part for a time, knowing that if you stay too long, it'll be like sundown before you get to the grove. And it's getting later in the year, so like it's approaching fall anyway. The sun is taking less time to down. And you all head out. I imagine for Frog, this is the first time going through the breadbasket to the Druid Grove. And
Yes.
Nori, it's been near your home. Like, your circle is at the south bend of like the breadbasket. But do you think you've ever been in the Druid Grove proper?
Probably not.
Okay. Then you both set off with Archimedes on a journey to a location you've not been before. As you're going through, you see just like so much sustainably done farming of like nature, and a lot of like there's wheat, there's pumpkins, there's squashes, there's fruits, there's like even things that should not be in season. The druids have cultivated this like land that's being maintained both by like the druids themselves and the humans that live in the town around it, to maintain that all year long nobody's going without food, and that everyone is hungry, and that everyone is not hungry or going without food. And it was part of the agreement of the peace treaty that you all know, not fixed but ended the withering. And it's also something that the druids were always doing. That was part of their biggest concern, was that they were always teaching the humans how to do this. The humans were just the ones that said, we need the land more than you, and tried to take it from them. Which, Nori, I don't know if that... I feel like that's probably something your parents would have definitely driven home for you. Frog, I don't know how much that would have been something you know of it. But once again, they're working in tandem, making a lot of things grow. You can tell, especially like the influence of Kaya, the one that does all of the land. You can see like not himself, but just like people that are dressed in the same garb as him, giving instruction on how to raise all the plants in a spot that'll work out well. And as you get closer to the grove itself, it's just like goes from this farmland to trees, thick evergreens that are impossible to see through, and to anyone that doesn't feel invited will like can block and move the way so that there's no way in, or like they'll go in and turn around and come back out. But you have received an invitation, Nori. You have been asked by one of the archdruids themselves to come find them if you ever needed their assistance. And so as you and Frog approach, a path through the trees opens up, and you see, as you enter in, just several different areas divided up. There's like one way off in the stars. It seems to be eternal night. Like the canopy above is too thick for any sort of like natural sunlight to get in. But also there's like fireflies that are just hanging from the bottom of the trees that look like stars moving around. And if like you were to like ask someone, they would tell you that that's where this where the seed of the stars and the moon live. This twin siblings that govern the stars and the night are over there. That's also where a lot of like naturally occurring animals are, as the ones that are more hidden, like wolves and deer and things of that kind, are all in there in a plethora because they feel comfortable in the eternal night. You've also already seen Kaya's land. he kind of just governs the external part, but there is a domain set aside where it just looks like a peaceful forest landscape where he has his. As far as possible removed from Kaya to the other side is where Victoria has her region, the region of flame. This is moved out and clearly magically protected so that none of the forest around goes up in an inferno whenever something happens in her region, but there's a spot of just safe flame as Victorina Ismat has her druid grove of flame, just being represented for anyone that needs to learn how to work with or control fire in a safe way. And then the two right up front as you enter, one where space and time seem to be twisting in on themselves as though dreams are entering into reality, and then the other directly across from it where mushrooms are just growing in huge quantities and spores float gently in the air are the ones of Kilana and Thierry, the druids of the dreams and the druids of spores. And you see all 6 of their domains, or all 5 because the twins share a domain, of their druid groves reflecting who they are, and in the middle they all meet where the council would meet.
Well, this is a pretty cool sight.
Nori would look around and say, "Wow, this is really cool." And are we assuming that this is night, or that it took literally a whole day to get here, so it's the next morning?
No, you got here in the day. If you left around 10 in the morning or so, you'd be getting here around 8 at night.
Okay. Nori would look to Frog and say, maybe we try and find Kilana real quick and see if she can point us in a good direction to find some lodging for the night.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. And as we're entering this very fancy place that Frog has never seen anything like, most likely, she will whisper to Archimedes and be like, "Have you ever seen something like this before?"
I have not seen things like most things, because up until 3 weeks ago, my life was spent on a lily pad, making sure that the shadow cats did not eat my friends. This is wild and new.
Good.
Yeah. And you make your way in. Nori especially, you would feel the call of the Fae in that sector of dreams. So I think even Frog, you can clearly be that's some weird dream magic going on, but Nori, you feel that pull of it's home. It's not in the Feywild, but it has a very similar energy to the Feywild as you step towards it. And it's not like there's any entry barriers or anything. They all are self-contained. It just seems to be a respect for each other, that it's divided out into this wheel, and all of them have their own. And as you walk in, the air just tastes sweet. You feel like you're light. You feel like if you need something, it can just be summoned from nowhere. And any sort of dream logic can apply as you're walking through this area.
Ooh. Well, that's pretty cool. Can I think about little silver pine cones floating around me?
Yeah. And as you think about it, just a little silver pine cone starts floating around your head.
Oh, wow. This is so cool. Yeah, I'll just have the little silver pine cone follow us to wherever we're trying to find Anna within this area.
Frog, is there anything you try and do?
Frog would think of a bunch of flies to see if Archimedes sees them and tries to eat them.
Yeah. Immediately upon them summoning, he would try and eat them. Let's make a dex save for the flies. They did bad. He's able to get 6 of them appear, and within a second, all 6 of them disappear. And he eats them and goes, "Oh, they are not normal flies. They tasted like that blueberry thing you gave me, or that wild berry thing you gave me. They tasted like that. Can you make more of them, please?" And he's like,
Yes.
"I could make more of them, please." And just little flies are gonna keep popping up around him, all of them tasting like pastry, and he's just gonna be eating them constantly as you're walking into this world.
Love that for him.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Cool. And then but finding there's a like with all of the nonsense happening around you, there's like one building in the middle that seems to be like structurally sound and that does not sway regardless of what's happening. The other thing is that the boundaries of the dream place are very clear from the outside, but once you're in the domain, it seems like they stretch on for infinity. And you're not sure if this happens in all of them, or if it's simply because like dream magic can be whatever it needs to be and go as far as it needs to go. But there's one building in the middle that is solid for where you would imagine someone needing to be somewhat in charge of what's happening here could make a spot to stay.
Cool. I guess we'll try and that way.
Yeah? Anything you're doing as you go that way? Anything you're thinking of? You could also just try and straight up teleport there.
I'll try and I won't try. I will think of the flowers where Seth and Alto are at, see if I can have some bloom around us, and then try and teleport to the door.
Cool. Yeah, you think of the flowers and they bloom, but they're like twisted and wrong. Because those flowers are supposed to bloom only where fairy blood has been spilled. And this land hasn't had that happen. Like, the grove was never directly attacked. It was always the area around it. So the flowers bloom, but have nothing in the soil to, like, plant themselves in. And even, like, you feel like the only reason that they were able to show up is because of all the, like, fey magic in the air. It gave them a seed to grow from. But as soon as they grow, they fall flat on the ground. But then you can teleport.
Cool.
Yeah. And you make it to the, not seat, because the seat is in the center, but the building of dreams. It's very much a small box, but as soon as you knock on the door or look in a window, you see that this thing stretches just as far in every direction as the dream realm itself seems to be. But as you get closer, kind of sensing your magic the same way that you sensed hers, Kilana comes out. Oh, hello. Hi.
Hello. It's so nice to see you again. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. It's been a nice month and a half. I'm not quite sure, but it's been a good time. Things for the Grove are going well. Nobody has been having issues that require all of our attention and have not for a while, and so since the engagement we haven't even needed to have a council meeting. Is there something that brings you here?
There's like a couple concerning things maybe we can chat about, but right now we just kind of wanted to see if there was a place we could rest for the night and then we chat about everything in the morning.
Yeah. Leading a conversation with a couple concerning things we need to talk about and then saying we can talk about them tomorrow does kind of put a bit of a confusion on the level of pressing concern, but that's okay. If you think they're not that concerning, I imagine they're not that concerning.
Well,
You're
we can
welcome.
talk about them. We can talk about them now if you want, but just
I
also...
have no concern when we do. It's just that typically when people come to me with pressing concerns, they're pressing and they want to talk about them in the moment. But what is a moment? When everything could be nothing, and nothing could be ongoing forever.
Frog speaking up for the first time during this is like, true.
See? She gets it.
Well,
And it's a very different, like, with Amy it was very aware of, like, time does not matter to me because I am removed from the concept of time. This is someone that has embraced the full Fey bullshit of, like, if I can stretch a moment into forever, what does it matter if it takes 1,000 years for another person? For me, it will take literally a second, and we will all just be 1,000 years older after the second, but only in our souls and not physically, and, like, all of that stuff that has been used for generations to, like, mess with people's minds.
with that note, I think a good night's rest sounds lovely. And then we can chat in the morning, if that's okay with you. Also, do you guys have coffee? Because the last place I was, people kind of judged the fact that I wanted coffee, so just wanted to know.
Yeah, we can get, and like even as you like say it and think of it, like just like a full triple shot of espresso appears in the air next to you.
Nori will gladly take it and just down it within a couple seconds.
That's a strange request for right before going to bed, but some people say it helps, and you do what you need to do. Um,
Thank you.
just
Where
a question for more this one. I don't believe I've caught your name, but I'm Kilana, at Ufrog. That one seems well equipped with what's going on around here. Would you prefer to stay in my realm, or would you like a spot where your dreams won't come to life in the middle of the night and act out themselves for you in the reality around you? It can be quite fun to be having your dreams projected and interacting, and a lot of people really enjoy it, but I also know it's not for everyone, and I imagine that Nori here would be a lot more accustomed to it than you might, and so I feel it's a better chance in conversation made in your decision.
Probably a safe place to sleep.
Okay. Do you have a desired region? Do you wish to be within the grove? Would you rather go outside of the grove?
The grove is fine.
Okay. I hear that the twins have a rather nice resting place, as it's eternal night there, so it's easy to fall asleep. If you want to go ask them, I'm sure that they'd be happy to help you.
Okay.
And Nori, I'm not saying that you can't stay here. If you want to go with your friend, you're welcome, but you're also very welcome to stay here. I'm sure it feels a bit like home.
I will gladly stay here and get all of the feelings of home that I can.
Nice. So then, we'll follow the scene back to Cass for a moment. What are you doing in town?
So, following their departure, Cass would sort of just wait for a little bit, just making sure that they're well on their way before probably making his way to where he knows the cemetery truly is, knowing that despite seeing the house and the dream from Lady Catonic, just needs to sort of see their graves for himself to actualize their passing. So he would make his way to the graveyard, or Ansel's version of a graveyard, probably not as proper, but makes his way there and would sort of look for any recent disturbed earth or like headstones. Not sure if anyone really would have made them for his parents.
Yeah, everyone in here at least has like a marker of where people are. Like, unless it's like a grave from the before times, they've done their best to have no unmarked grave sense.
Okay. And would I see anything that would sort of designate like where I would know where theirs are specifically?
Yeah, I think for like the people that are buried by the city, it's like like there's one side that's more for that, and it's just kind of like in order. So not in any particular like like alphabetical or metric or any sort of system, but just like these people died and then these people died. You would have a good chance of finding them in there.
Okay. I would just sort of take some time, go through there until I think I found theirs. And while this is happening, I would have summoned Quizzle back, or just sort of had him poof back into reality because he's really been here, and have him change into a hawk and have
Okay.
him sort of circling above me. And while he's doing that, he would know what Beirut looks like. I've sent Beirut a letter before, so he also grew up with him, so like Quizzle would actually have knowledge of his appearance, and would have Quiz will sort of stay in a proximity of me, like as far as he can get away from me, but circle and keep an eye out for him or any sign of him specifically.
Nice. Quizzle can do a check to be good. What's Quizzle's perception as a hawk?
Give me 1 second. I need to verify.
Either way, it's at a base 19.
What is perception? Is that intelligence?
It's a wisdom perception check.
Wisdom. So it's Hawks have a wisdom of 14.
Okay, so
So
yeah,
it's a plus
brings it
2.
up to a So he brings it up to a 21 and is able to easily just like find the house that he knows he's in and see it, and it will just like be slowly circling above one of the houses in the old part of town.
Okay. Sort of still not 100% sure where their graves are. Just sort of nods. Sort of starts feeling those emotions that he's tried not to sort of face quite yet, but shakes it off for the time being and makes his way over to the house to see who he believes would be his old friend.
Mm-hmm. And we'll go back to Frog now, wandering alone in the Druid Grove to the domain of the stars and moon. As you get there, are you letting Archimedes stay in the dream world, or are you bringing Archimedes with you?
I'm gonna bring Archimedes with me.
Okay, so yeah, you and Archimedes walk by, and you enter in. Like you have to cross like that central promenade, which has like all of their like 6 actual seats, but then it's also like just a promenade that people can go around. It has like a park in the middle and everything, and you make it over to the like domain of the stars and the moon, and you walk in, and very similar to like the dream world, it stretches much further than it should. But here it's not, because it's like, oh, look, it's got dream stuff happening. It's because like the night is long, and especially now that the night is growing longer, it seems to just be stretching, and you see like just up in the sky what looked like fireflies from outside, just like stars suspended in midair. This can still see the canopy above it, but the leaves at the bottom are all seemingly painted black, and it just feels like a nice spot to like curl up by a campfire. The temperature drops to being around like somewhere in like the 68 to 70 range, and it's just like a nice chill night, like literally chilled in the air, where you could just curl up and have a good night to sleep. Is there anything you're trying to do, or are you just gonna sleep?
I will write a letter to Dolly, saying that we've made it safely, that Cass is back at the house, and that we are going to try to find some answers. But we're here safe, and he hopes that Dolly is doing well, and she misses her.
Nice.
And then she will go to sleep and have the best sleep ever.
Okay. About like 5 minutes after you lay down to go to sleep, Vespana walks up, like literally glowing, made of stars. We welcome you, but we have housing. If you don't want to sleep on the floor. I mean, people do enjoy a night under the stars, but if you would like to have a night under the stars inside, we can provide that for you.
Okay. I'll go get up and prepare to follow her.
Yes, Vespana, nice to meet you. Quilana said you'd be coming over. And
It's
she
nice to meet you, and Frog will introduce herself.
and she takes you to like a log cabin that from the outside is like a log cabin, but from the inside looks like a glass box you can see out. It has like a very plush bed inside, but as you like look to the sides, you can still see all of the nature around you, and as you look up, you can still see the stars sparkling overhead. There's a full moon hanging. You can like just hear off in the distance the sound of like bats flying and like wolves howling and running. There don't seem to be any of them directly around, but they can be heard. And you continue, I guess, the best night's sleep of your life, but this time in a bed, inside, not laying out on the ground. And I think with that, that's where we'll wrap up today's episode. Got lots of things to follow for next time, friends. So many plot hooks. Thank you, as always, for playing. Thank you, audience, for listening. We are Help Action Needed. You can find us all across the internet on Instagram and Threads at Help Action Needed, and same as on Twitch at twitch.tv/helpactionneeded. And you can reach out to us at emails at gmail.com. Nope, helpactionneeded@gmail.com. You can reach out to us in a myriad of ways. And we would love to hear from you, because some of you write in, and it brings us lots of joy. We always love communicating with you guys, so if you would like to do that, please do. If it does not spark joy to do that, don't worry about it. This is your time for you to do what you want to do. But as always, thank you thank you audience for listening, thank you players for playing, and goodbye.
Good job.